Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our Courageous Conversations. If you don't already know me, I'm Andrea Morrison. I'm a transformational coach, and in celebration of my new program, which now starts on Monday, the Courageous Females program, I thought it would be a really beautiful idea to invite some amazing, courageous females that I know to have a conversation with me about the understanding that I share, that I've shared with them, and the impact that it's had on their lives and their business. So today I'm joined by the lovely Nikki Holdsworth, and I've been so blessed to have known her for a number of years now, and also being able to work with her too and share this understanding with her. So I'm just going to hand it over to you and let you share what you're doing, what you're up to now, and how this work has impacted you in your life and business. So welcome, Nikki.
Thank you, Andrea. Lovely introduction. It's lovely to chat.
You know, it is, isn't it? And just kind of catch up and see how things have been unfolding. So yeah, I'm just going to let you take the floor and let you explain how things are right now.
And it's a really interesting time right now, isn't it? You know, with everything that's going on, and I think it's a time right now where we can choose a couple of directions to travel in, and I think really, for me, what's happened in terms of my journey. So I'll tell you a tiny little bit about myself. So I'm a solo mum to 2 teens, and that in itself is an interesting journey and often requires a lot of courage. I have, I have several different business interests. So I do some business consultancy work. I do lots of coaching, often with women, but not predominantly with women, on all areas of life, health, well-being, and kind of taking them on their journey as to where they want to go and how it might be, etc. And I do some property investing. So I've got sort of an eclectic kind of mix of interests, if you like. But I came to 3 principles a number of years ago with a person that Andrea and I both worked with. And that was my first introduction to 3 principles. And when you experience something and you learn more about something and you have that moment of, oh my goodness, that makes so much sense. That's why that's this and this is that. And so for me, learning about 3 principles was like your eyesight's really bad, things are cloudy, you can't quite see what's around you and what's in front of you, you've got no level of awareness of it, and then you kind of it's like when you go to the opticians, you can't quite see very much what's out there, and then the optician kind of does their thing with the lenses and the peer in your eyes, and then they put the glasses on, and then all of a sudden everything becomes clear. There is a level of clarity, a level of trust, a level of knowing and intuition. And that's the biggest thing that I think you can take from this on the start of the journey, is that there is clarity in what's around you. It's also then knowing that that's always been there, that's always been around you, but either through limiting beliefs or internal blocks or not knowing or not understanding, or for lots of reasons, I think we act as passive participant in life, that kind of we think life happens to us, that perhaps it's not of our influence, it's not of our doing. And actually that's not true. Everything's out there that anybody wants, but it's being able to take the blinkers off, to know, to trust, to feel from the heart, and to learn to trust your own intuition, to move forward, to make decisions, to take actions, because whatever you want in your life, whatever you want to achieve, the people, the experiences, whatever it is, it's all out there for you taking. It's already there. It's already happening. It's already there. And then, like I say, it's like you come out of the fog into a blue sky, the sunshine, the green fields. It smells different, it looks different, it feels different. And so then once you know that's there, It's then learning to trust your intuition, your heart, your feeling, your gut, whatever it is, because often making decisions where we think from the head is a really bad way to make decisions, but everybody feels you've got to reason it out and you've got to do pros and cons. And often when you act from the heart or act from the gut, it can seem entirely random and totally unexplainable, but totally right. So for me, how that's impacted for me is recently for quite a number of years, I'd wanted to move house. And I didn't think that I could. I had my own limiting beliefs about that. I had, things that I had constructed in my own head. And because I'd constructed that thought, that created a feeling within me. And the resulting action, well, it was inaction because of how I felt. But because of the work that I did with you, I then had a completely different awareness, a completely different perspective, and a completely different mode of operandi, kind of a different way of acting because of that. And so what happened was there was a house became available that kind of ticked so many of the boxes. And I didn't think about it at all. And it was the strangest of experiences where there was an overwhelming sense within me, a feeling within me that it was absolutely the right thing to do. Now, if I'd sat down and wrote a list and thought about it and talked to people about it, there would have been so many reasons why perhaps it shouldn't be done, couldn't be done. You're mad, Nikki, what do you want to do that for? All of that kind of stuff that we listen to. But actually, we need to just tune into within. And when I tuned into within, that complete courage was there. So we found out on the Tuesday that we could move into this house. So we moved on the Friday. Now, if I tell you I'd lived in my previous house for about 18 years, so there was a lot of stuff. And anybody who knows me will know how I let's say I attract abundance. There's plenty there, and this was a heck of a task. But it felt right. Yes, that was tough. Yes, there was challenges, undoubtedly, and on the day of the move, in the middle of the day, when the removal men kind of walked out and said, right, we're done, and I still had a load of stuff to shift. And I had a complete breakdown in the middle of the hall in the house. It was what have I done? But actually, once I just expressed that emotion, I let it out, I then was able to reconnect with my courage and reconnect to my inner intuition and understand that this is right, because life will always present us challenges. It's not a straight line. It's that saying, isn't it? A still sea a good sailor does not make. We have to experience the challenges to grow our courage and to know how I can do that. So for me, I know I can do that. I have a lived experience. So that in my personal life, this was a real biggie for me. So thank you, Andrea. Much gratitude to you. And from my children too, because they now have lovely big bedrooms that they'd always wanted. I have an office, we have a lovely energy in the house. So it's been quite amazing, really, in that how you never think when you start to work with somebody in business that it will ripple out into other aspects of your life. You don't realize the impact that you don't just transform as a person and that impacts your business. When you transform as a person, that transformation impacts all areas of your life that you touch. So for me, being able to teach my children about this, to be able to show them a different way of living, to be able to show them that you don't have to leave sixth form and go to university because that's what everybody does. If you don't feel you want to do that, which is a conversation with my son, trust in how you feel. And he made that decision that he wanted to go for an apprenticeship despite pressure from his college saying to him, you need to apply for uni, you need a plan B, etc. And he's like, I don't want to, Mum, I don't feel like I want to do that. And it's trust in your intuition, trust in how you feel, live in that place of courage, because that is going to serve you well. And then being able to explore different business opportunities from that place of courage, to be able to make different decisions from a place of knowing rather than a place of thinking. And it's really been quite impactful. You know, not that long ago, there's no way I would have done a video like this. You know, somebody said, can I interview you? I kind of go, oh, no, not me. No, you don't talk to me. What have I got to say? No, definitely not. So there's huge impact on knowing and trusting and believing when you act from your heart that it is grounded, it's solid. It's the only place to make a decision. It's the only place to come from when you make that decision, because it puts you in your own power, and that in itself is incredibly empowering. It gives you a level of confidence that you've not felt before, and it's about feeling. It's about feeling who you are in that knowing rather than thinking, and it's a big shift. But when you make the shift, the change is bigger than you can ever possibly realize when you start. It's really powerful.
Wow, thank you. I think that's just been so beautiful that you've shared that. I think the way that you've expressed it is just absolutely spot on. I think when we start to see that, that we know and we can live in our knowing and enable that to be a guide for us in our life, that, we can sense whether something is right for us or not, and if we don't know, that's okay, but we can just be okay in not knowing. And also I loved is that the whole kind of letting go of the outcome of moving house, and yet often I think sometimes we get a bit innocently, we get caught up in the thinking that, oh, if I follow my knowing, everything is going to be rosy and it's going to be great. And actually, all it's really saying to us is, oh, this is your next step, but you're okay. You'll be okay with your next step. No matter what happens, you will know what to do. Just in the same way as that, you knew that you could let out all of that emotion and you could be absolutely okay, and then you would know what to do after that. And I love as well that I think sometimes you're right. People will often come to me because they have a professional issue or a business issue, and then they're just like, wow, this just like goes everywhere, and it just speaks to so many aspects of our lives because we're understanding how we work, and we work in lots of different capacities.
It's like oxygen. It just impacts every area, just like it is the oxygen. It's the oxygen that drives you, that lives in your heart, that, makes, and you're right. It's about what you said there, Andrea, about the decisions. You just take that first step. And that might present a new challenge that you didn't foresee or had no way of knowing about. But actually, by coming from a place of knowing, then the next step becomes clear. And then the next step becomes clear. It really challenges a lot of traditional teaching and thinking, and it challenged a lot of my traditional teaching and thinking, and certainly courses that you and I had been on where we learned things. And this really turns things on its head. And the biggest thing it turned on its head for me was start with the end in mind. And if you take those words, start with the end in mind, it's fundamentally flawed.
Yeah, because I'm just making it up.
Exactly. Because
we have no idea.
Absolutely, yeah, that's just a construct from a lived reality, and the lived reality was from a place of previous thinking and not knowing and feeling. So it's fundamentally flawed as a principle, and as a business principle. And I get so frustrated when I hear people say this. It's like, okay, we don't need to know what the end is. We just need to know and feel. When I say know, for me now, knowing is here, not here. Yeah. So we just need to know from our heart within, what do we feel the next step is? It can be in a completely different direction to the last 52 steps, and that's okay. That doesn't matter. It's how do we feel we need to move the next step, the next direction. It doesn't matter what direction it is. If it feels right, it is right.
Yeah, no, I love that. I really love that. Yeah, because it is just so true. So true. And I mean, I've had personal experiences, of, making goals happen.
Yeah.
And because we can do that, our free will and our intellect is strong enough for us to make things happen. And I've done that so many times, and then I've got there and I've just not really enjoyed it. It's not been what I expected it to be, or it hasn't been what I wanted it to be. And certainly what I find is kind of following that gentle unfolding of life and of business. I enjoy it. So I enjoy every step just as much.
Yeah.
There is no kind of there. And often, I look back at the experience and think, wow, that's incredible. How on earth did that happen? Because none of it was within my contemplation at the start of the journey. And it's just exceeded what I could have imagined or thought could happen. And I think that's a lovely kind of byproduct, if you like, when you follow it.
And that's what happens. And I think when people realize that actually we can come from that place, the journey looks so different. And there are so many things on the journey, like you say, that we never would have imagined being coming from our minds. Those thoughts, we couldn't have created them because they didn't live within our existence, within our current reality. So we had no idea that they were there for us. But then when we do, oh my God, that's amazing. And you're right, often when we then take that decision from thought to do something, how it plays out, how it pans out is often very different to how we imagined from thought that it would do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I find the whole kind of decision-making process so much easier as well. It just cuts out so much noise, doesn't it? Because we don't have the pros and cons list and the 85 different people that we're asking questions about,
Exactly. And we don't need to justify it. We don't need to find the reasons. And that's where the energy is often spent, in my opinion. I believe that, the when making the decision is the easy bit when you do it in thought often, but the justification and the reasoning behind it is what takes the energy, and that to me is all gone. It's just this feels right, and people kind of say to you, are you mad? Why are you doing this? Because it feels right. I don't need to justify it. I just know that this is right. And that takes all the argument, the justification away. It takes the emotion away. It takes the doubt away. And it just brings in strength and courage and strong foundation in your decision making and where those decisions take you. The power is incredible.
Yeah, it just has a different feeling to it, doesn't it? It has a different quality to it. Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful talking with you this morning, and I am absolutely sure that we've had quite a few people listening, so that they've really enjoyed it, and I'm sure they've heard something new and helpful in that. So thank you so much, Nikki, for your time and sharing your story with us this morning.
Oh, it's been a great honor. Thank you so much for having me, Angie. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.